Hello everyone and welcome to Snap Take. This is a very special video in which we exclusively get the top 10 players' decks on the Infinite Leaderboard from the previous season. That's right, we have every deck played by the best players in the previous season. So if you want to know what's the best, what's proven, if you want to be able to climb in Marvel Snap, this is the video for you. But this is not only a look back, we also look ahead. We look ahead to the current season and what I expect to reach this plateau over the course of the next season. What do I expect outside of the decks that were already featured? What do I expect to climb into the top of the Infinite Leaderboard this coming season? And finally, there's something really, really important we're going to be able to learn from this video as we look at every deck. We're going to talk about that now, and what we learn is going to be useful not only in looking at this past season, but looking at the future season, because we will not get an OTA until the end of May. All right, let us first go through who the top 10 players are in April. Number 11, we have Honifer. Number 10, we have Spida. Number 9, Lemon. Number 8, Heart of the Cards. Heart of the Cards was actually number 8 last season. Number 7, Jocko. Number 6, Unity. Number 5, Merritt. Number 4, Halo Effect. Number 3, Derek. Number 2, Cizer. And number 1, Zunes. The top Americas server is Halo Effect, the top EU server is Cizer, and the top Asia server is Zunes. One more note before we go forward. Lemon is a player I could not find. That's why we're actually going to 11 this month. I could not find hide nor hair of Lemon, which usually means that this is a newer player who has climbed really, really high. If anyone knows Lemon or is Lemon, please do let me know. But we were unable to find Lemon before this video, unfortunately. Before we get to the decks, please hit that sub, like, and comment if you're interested in getting exclusive Marvel Snap decks that you can't get anywhere else. I do the type of content that no one else in this game does. If you want totally distinct and unique Marvel Snap content with the proven very best decks, hit that sub, like, and comment. And in addition, we are also trying to hit 25,000 subs in 2025, and we really, really, really need your help to get there. So please hit that sub button if you're willing. Your like and comment, however, also allow you to enter to win Esme Cuckoo, and I'm just going to tell you what you can answer to win Esme Cuckoo right now. Of the decks in this video, which is your favorite? Specifically, which is your favorite version? Which do you think is the best right now? That is all you have to answer in order to enter to win an Esme Cuckoo. We'll be giving away one, and we'll announce that winner at the end of the week. If you're looking for last week's winners, when we gave away 5 Esme Cuckoos, check yesterday's video, please. All right, the number 11 player is Honifer, who is a player on the Americas server. Honifer last season finished around number, I believe, 6 or 7. He has finished as high as number 2 on the Infinite Leaderboard prior. A truly exceptional player. Honifer played the ongoing Thanos. We're going to see the ongoing Thanos several times. This is time 1 of seeing Thanos on this list. Honifer's Thanos has a distinct feature to it that I want to call out. We're going to try and talk about each deck as far as what makes sense in it. What's distinct about this deck is Honifer made his climb by adding Captain Carter and Captain America to the list. Captain America plays as a 3/9 if you can fill his lane with ongoings. Between Thanos' stones, cards like Ant-Man, Speed, and Blue Marvel, etc., it is fairly easy to get Captain America to a 3/9, at which point he can be further buffed by Blue Marvel or Spectrum. What's also really powerful here, though, is Captain Carter, who has all the same things that can buff her, while also being able to be buffed by Captain America and providing a huge power spike. The deck does get a slight bit less consistent. You'll see other versions of this run an extra 2 in one of those 2 card spots, so that does hurt the consistency, but in such a big deck and having the stones, Honifer chose to go with a power spike for his version. This is Honifer's version. Let us keep going to Spida. Spida has finished in the top 10 prior. He was around rank 7 or 8 one season. Spida is a move main. He plays almost exclusively move on the America servers. In particular, he plays move bounce. Now, he seems to cycle through, or no one is quite sure exactly what his last card is. So I went with what Cizer's version was, because Cizer is the originator of this deck, which is a Sage version, right? Cizer has Sage in that spot. I don't know what Spida actually has in that spot, but Spida is a bounce move main. It is fundamentally all he plays. He plays it amazingly consistently and amazingly often. Move bounce, this is the first time this is going to appear on the list. So we've got 1 Thanos and 1 move bounce so far. Again, the power of this list is not to be trifled with. However, this is the hardest thing to play. You need to put hundreds, if not thousands, of games into this deck to learn it and to really become a master in it. You need to know all your matchups. In order to play this deck around the Cosmo that's in all those Thanos decks that we just saw is very, very impressive. From here we go to Lemon. Lemon is on the American server and finished number 9. Again, if you are Lemon or know how to find Lemon, please do reach out. But generally what Being this high when we can't find you means is that you're a relatively new player whose MMR has spiked early, and thus you're able to climb really high. Still, number 9 is a huge achievement, so props to Lemon. At number 8, we have Heart of the Cards. Heart of the Cards Snap on Twitch if you're interested in checking him out. He's on the Americas server and he is a surfer main. He's also a good friend. Hi, Heart. So Heart does amazing work. He constantly figures out how to make surfer work no matter what the meta is by shifting the control cards around. He began the season playing a surfer that looks something like this. He had a low roll surfer last season. His surfers almost always top out at Galacta and then run no other 4s and then run all 3 or lowers. The other thing that he is notable for innovating is running 3 2s in his surfer. This version is good, but it ended up getting outpowered by the meta. Rocket and Groot's nerf really ended up hurting it. The meta got a little lower power, so US Agent was no longer as consistent. It ended up being a good list, but it had to be moved on from as the meta shifted to, honestly, more and more Thanos. What he ended up playing is the same deck he's actually playing today, the anti-meta Surfer. There's the Red Guardian in this list is the big swing. Sometimes that ends up being like a Killmonger or something else, but the general idea of this list is fairly simple. Fenris Wolf gives you play into a lot of things. It gives you play into Hela. It gives you play with Gladiator or your Negasonic killing something big. Oh, this one runs Killmonger and Red Guardian. It runs something in that Red Guardian spot sometimes. What it is actually escapes me. Whatever. The deck is still really great. Sam Wilson is huge power. Fenris Wolf is a big power spike thanks to Negasonic, Killmonger, and Gladiator. Galacta and Captain Carter offer the ability to go over. Like, I've gone over an Infinite using Galacta, Captain Carter, and Brood. So there's a lot to like here. Meanwhile, US Agent ends up playing for a ton of power while also having a little synergy with Gladiator. Everything here really sings together. Everything here works together amazingly and exceptionally well, and this deck puts out a ton of power and consistency. This is right now in Marvel Snap the highest win rate Silver Surfer list, and Heart of the Cards is once more ranked in the top 10 with it as we speak. This is also going to be our first Surfer. So in our first 3 people, we've seen a Move Bounce, a Surfer, and a Thanos. Cool, one of each. Let's keep going. Again, if you want to play Surfer, though, I think this is probably the best list in Marvel Snap. Props to Hart. It seems like he always has the best Surfer list in Marvel Snap. From here, we go to Jaco, who's on the America server, but an Italian player, which is a thing that happened if you got in the beta. In the beta, it seemed like everyone's America server. Safety Blade, who lives in Australia, is on the America server, but Jaco is Italian. He's in Team FAK right now. And Jaco played, you guessed it, Thanos. This is our first sighting of the Strange Supreme Thanos. He played some other stuff, but wasn't super high ranked this season. A little bit of Clog, a little bit of Victoria Hand stuff. Eventually settling into Thanos, which he played for the last several weeks of the season, and he ended up climbing to the top 10. Chaco has been in the top 5 multiple times. He played Unity's version of Thanos. We're not actually going to talk about it here, but this is our second appearance of Thanos on the list already. The reason we're not going to talk about this here is because you might realize this, but Unity is also in the top 10. And guess what Unity played? Hey, look, Unity, 1 spot above Jaco, which is sort of fitting since they played the same deck, or at least one of the same decks. Unity is on the Asia server. He's been one of the top players in Marvel Snap previously. I believe his last season of great success was around Arishem, so last July. But he is a phenomenal Marvel Snap player. You can find him on twitter.com/Unity0919 if you are so inclined. Unity played 2 decks. The first of those is Bounce Move. This is a slightly different Bounce Move. It's running Topaz over Frigga. So Unity's Bounce Move is going with an extra move trigger instead of the ability to... Oh, wait, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it does have Frigga. It does have Frigga. I copied the wrong thing. Please excuse me. What it did was it cut... No, it decided to run Shadow King, right? Yeah, it runs Shadow King for Sage, but it did keep Frigga. Excuse me. So there should be a Frigga here, not a Topaz, but it runs Shadow King for Sage. I just ended up copying the wrong thing, apparently. Please excuse me. But this is our second move bounce. So now we've seen 2 Thanos, 2 move bounce, and 1 Surfer. I'm developing an argument here that I think you're starting to get the gist of if you're paying attention. Shadow King is obviously this big power spike in this list. If you're worried about opposing Strange Supreme, Shadow King gives you power there, right? If you're worried about opposing move bounce, you get a bunch of power from Shadow King there. And if your opponents are playing Surfer, Shadow King gives you a free way to win games at the end. This deck can just go over the top of everything, but even if it goes way over the top in one lane, winning the other lane is a challenge, and Unity chose to do so by using the card Shadow King. Meanwhile, Unity Thanos, this is the controlliest of the control Thanos. It basically says, I'm going to win one lane with Strange Supreme, who's going to be huge, right? Strange Supreme is going to be absolutely huge. And then my other lane between Shang-Chi, Enchantress, and Red Guardian, while also being preventative with Cosmo and Mobius, I should be able to control that other lane. And it's not like I'm short power because I have a 3/9 in speed. I have extra energy from Wiccan. I have the super cheap Mockingbird. I have 2/7 Sam Wilson. All this power in the deck with the control is one of the best lists. So this is now we've seen 4 Thanoses, right? 2 bounce move and 1 surfer. So again, we've got a lot of the same decks repeating, with Thanos starting to become obviously all over the place. Next up, we've got Merritt. Huge props to Merritt, person who's regular in my stream and many of the other Marvel Snap streams, in the Americas server with the highest rank ever for Merritt at rank 5. Merritt played 2 lists. First, negative. Oh no, I messed up something later. You'll see. But first list that Merritt played is negative. All he said is it's the standard negative. This is the standardist of the standard negatives. Wong is always the swing card in these, but this is a standard ass negative list, and this is fundamentally what he played. Sorry, he probably had Gore over Ironheart, but a standard negative was a climb into the top 100. Climbing to the top 100 is always impressive, but that's not what we're looking at. What we're looking at is what he climbed to the top 5 with. What he climbed to the top 5 with was Surfer. He ended up taking a version of Hearts deck and updating it and came up with this version of Surfer, which he ended up in the top 5 with. This is now our second Surfer. We've seen 2 move bounce, 2 Surfer, and 4 Thanos. So we've got 2 Surfer lists, this one being obviously an incredibly powerful one. This is more of a surfer good stuff, right? This isn't doing nearly as much as far as the extra shenanigans with Fenrir's Wolf or anything else, but this is built in the Heart of the Card style, where it's running 3 2-drops. It's running Sage, which is a Heart innovation as well, and trying to win that way. Sage, by the way, here is often a play on like turn 3 or 4, where if you don't have Galacton 4, obviously, where if you can play it on turn 3, if you go like Sam Wilson and they're playing cards in that Sam Wilson lane too, you can get like a 3/8 Sage out relatively early. Next up, we have Halo Effect, and Halo Effect is I'm one of the only wholly original players here. I've never heard of Halo Effect or seen Halo Effect, but hi, Halo Effect. Hopefully you're doing well. Halo Effect is on the America server, and Halo Effect played Hela. This is the Danish Hela list, which is what Halo Effect played. You can find KM Best featuring this on his channel yesterday, but this is the main list. It's hard to climb with Hela, but if you're the only one doing it, it's not like that bad. Legion is incredible right now. I got scammed out of 16 cubes with Legion earlier today. Just 2 different times where I was like, there's no way this player has Legion too. And I was like, oh, they have Legion too. Which really ruined Magic things, but there's a ton of Magic in there. There's a ton of stuff in the meta that Legion messes up, and this deck just puts out crazy power. Gambit, I swear, has a target for the best thing on the opponent board. We featured this deck earlier in the month. It had Grandmaster over Legion. Legion, unsurprisingly, ended up better. This deck got way better when Infinity Ultron was out. You have to grind with this, right? This deck doesn't perform if you don't know what you're doing. It's not going to win a lot of games, but it does win a lot of cubes. If you're interested in checking this out, make sure you check out Cam Best's video from yesterday, or you can check out about 2 weeks ago in my top 10 decks. You can find this one, because this one I thought was really great, and then it sort of fell off, except this one player, Halo Effect, has been sort of rocking with it even now. Number 3 is Derek. Derek was number 1 in last July and August season. Sorry, August and September season. He's on the EU server. He's been number 2 almost every season since then. He's back here at number 3, as the number 1, number 2 of Cizer and Derek was shaken up this season, but Derek is a beast. Derek also played 4 different lists, including Thanos Ongoing. He created this version. This is his original. He ended up putting Gorgon in for that extra 4-drop slot. That was once Super Skrull and once Kahori. Gorgon, just because there's so many Thanos mirrors, ended up being the right call here, and it gives the deck more consistency, and more consistency means more Wiccan, and Wiccan is a huge power spike. That's it. This is a fairly obvious list. This is pure points. It rocks. This is now our 5th Thanos we're seeing out of our top 11. There's going to be another Thanos that Derek plays, but you get the idea. This is yet another really powerful Thanos list, but he also played a Strange Supreme Thanos. I asked him which is better. He just plays both. I don't think there's any super great preference here. I think the Jeff here is completely hilarious. I swear the Jeff is just like him flexing at this point. But it's a very strong list that can do a lot of powerful things. Kahori here is great because it spreads a bunch of power out, and this deck could use that extra power sometimes. This one runs not nearly as much control as the other versions, running Cosmo, Juggernaut, Red Guardian, and Alioth, but not running Stronger Enchantress. Letting opponents assume the Stronger Enchantress is there and play around it without messing with it is a really, really great way to go. Again, this is now 5 Thanos decks that we've seen. We've seen 2 Surfer and 2 Move Bounce. Pixie Gore is the next thing we're seeing from Derek. This one's a really cool list that I think is mostly just worse negative, but when you're really, really good with it, it helps. This one doesn't even get the real benefit of running Pixie, which is usually running Mobius, but hey, Derek succeeded with it at the highest of levels. And then finally, Derek played Good Move when Batrock came out toward the end of the season, switching between the Thanos decks and this one. This is just a standard good stuff move list. Batrock along with Silk end up being this very, very strong move package that you can play with Sam and Craven, and then you just try and win the other lanes using your control cards, using mini power cards, Shang and Captain Marvel to move wherever is necessary. This one is a very strong list, and it's all over the place and super consistent. Rocket Groot helps control where opponents play too, and because it moves, can help prevent Clog. Beautiful, beautiful list. This is one of the stronger lists in all of Marvel Snap, and it remains so to this very day. Number 2 is Cizer. Cizer is at twitch.tv/Cizer2654. Cizer is on the EU server, and he played 2 main decks. First, he played Cizer Mover, with which he added a card. He added Fanfei, and he actually ended up cutting Iron Fist for Ghost Spider last second, but remaking the whole list for that one card seemed sort of pointless. Fanfei replaced Iron Fist, and we ended up with Ghost Spider in the list. Fanfei being sort of your backup cloak here, because you do want everything to be in the right lane, or you want a bunch of stuff to be in the right lane on the last turn, and those mind games are extra cubes. Cizer played a reasonable amount of Thanos too, but he played hundreds of games with those and thousands of games with the move lists, so we're only talking about the move lists. The other thing, the regular number 1 player, 7 times number 1, 4 times number 2, played was Bounce Move, and this is now our 3rd frickin' Bounce Move. So we've got 6 Thanos, 3 Bounce Move, and 2 Surfer so far. Yeah. Bounce Move again. This is the list that Cizer made. Once he figured out to put Sage in it, he hasn't messed with Sage at all. Sage seems like the right call. In fact, what he keeps changing is Frigga for various other cards. Turns out Frigga ends up the best, basically, no matter how many times he messes with it. Frigga is a very powerful and consistent Marvel Snap card, but this is one of the best decks. Again, if you're going to need hundreds, if not thousands of games to do well with it, but once you get the hang of it, we've seen this now 3 times in the top 10 this season. Finally, we've got Zunes at twitter.com/Zunes0122. Zunes is on the Asia server and set a record for the highest snap points ever in a single season. Zunes played 3 decks. The first of those is the small update. This is the Havoc Athena list. That's so good. He ran Juggernaut and Red Guardian. Those 2 are the swing spots in the deck. Sometimes there's a Cosmo there. Sometimes there's a Mobius there. Sometimes there's a Luke Cage there, etc., etc. But this U.S. Agent is also occasionally a swing. Cam Best was trying for a while. Sam Wilson there. I've seen people now trying Surge in that spot. I don't like Surge in that spot. But overall, this is an extraordinarily powerful and consistent list, and I'm not surprised to see it climb so high. Although this one was not number 1 for long, Zones ended up falling for number 1 when he was playing that, and this. Now we have 3 Move Bounce and 3 Surfer, along with 6 Thanos. Zunes, however, has a different Surfer. He is running a Sarah Classic Surfer instead of the newer versions. He kept his Shaw. He's doing all the normal stuff. In this deck, using Luna to get Sarah out is the power play that we're actually looking for, or using Luna to play 2 3s on turn 5. Either one of those is very, very powerful, and thus Luna in the list. Absorbing Man being able to be played on turn 6 with Surfer, or with Brood, or to copy Brood and then Surfer, is also obviously a very strong play, and this version of Surfer has access to it. This one has less early game, but a more power spiky late game, and it's able to win a lot of games and cubes for that. 3 Surfers, 3 Move Bounce, 7 Thanos. This is the Thanos ongoing list. This is about as standard as we come. The single swing spot in this list has just become Shadow King as a way to say I'm sick of losing to Surfer and Move Bounce and stuff like that. The other 2 decks that are appearing, Shadow King fundamentally answers, while Shadow King does nothing to ongoing Thanos, right? It even stops the Strange Supreme if they don't get the Cosmo on it in the other Thanos list, which is obviously extremely strong. The ongoing Thanos is probably the best deck in the game, or at least it's a tier 1 without any question deck. But what we really need to talk about right now is we've got 7 Thanos, 3 Move Bounce, and 3 Surfer. And unless the new cards shake things up more than they have so far, we know the meta. There's no OTA until the end of the month, and we know Prodigy may shake things up, but it's almost certain that Elixir and Zorn will not, which means that we might just have a meta set. We might have a meta set for a straight month, which never happens in Marvel Snap, but also Marvel Snap is hosting its first tournament, hosted by our friends Gunny T, Models, It's Guest Gaming, and Super Tech God through Second Dinner. This major tournament happening Saturday, I believe the 24th, 23rd, 24th, whatever that Saturday is. We know what the meta is. It's set. We can start testing for it literally now. Unless a major OTA or anything strange happens, we know that Thanos is seven of the top 11 players played Thanos. 3 of the top 11 players played Move Bounce. 3 of the top 11 players played Surfer. I mean, the meta is set. We know what's good right now. Welcome to what Marvel Snap is. Now that our question is, can we figure out something to meta break, or are we just set with what we're playing? Before we go forward, please check out twitch.tv/PulseGlazer. I ended up taking the weekend off streaming, largely because I spent the time with my wife. It was Mother's Day weekend, and we went to dinner, we went to the movie. We had a bunch of different plans. We had a really nice weekend, but I should be back streaming today. So if you're interested, twitch.tv/PulseGlazer. Ignore that. We asked the question earlier. Let's check the May decks. So the top 5 decks to watch in May: Ika Scream, Shuri Enjoyer Midrange, Cougar, Affliction, Crazy Clog, and Negative. We hit on 4 decks last season. Every season we predict 5 decks that I think will crack the top of the Infinite Leaderboard. And we hit on 4 the season before. We nailed it. We even had literally Zun's Thanos on the top 5 last season. So we hit 4 last season, 4 the season before, and 5 the season before that. So let's freaking go. Ika Scream, I expect to be really good and really prevalent. We didn't see a Scream in the top 10, which is surprising, because I still think Scream is a top tier deck, but it's not as good against Thanos, except for this version. Scream can struggle with Thanos. However, the Darkhawk version goes really tall and gives Thanos a lot of problems. Cassandra Nova is a 9 or more power card a lot of the time if you play her on curve. Darkhawk is like a 13 to 15 power card, and because they clog themselves, Cannonball is incredibly strong. This list is fine against Surfer. It's not like amazing against Surfer, but it's got okay play, and it loses pretty hard to Move Bounce if the person is good with it. Scream seems like it would counter Move Bounce, but it often does not. Just for the record, if your opponent knows what they're doing. Your best hope for winning those matchups is very often Juggernaut. From there, we're going to go Shuri Enjoyer Prodigy. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out where Prodigy works, right? And it's possible it's ongoing, but we know that like ongoing is really fragile to Enchantress, whereas a lot of the other decks in the meta are not, so it becomes sort of a problem. What if we can do a Season Passler style good stuff deck where we're trying to play Prodigy on turn 5 to copy Galacta or Gwenpool? That's the theory behind this list. We use Prodigy as basically an extra Gwenpool or Galacta proc, and then we should have so much power at the end of the game that we should be able to compete to win some games. This might end up being an Agamotto build. I have a feeling that we might end up wanting images of Icon, or we might end up wanting Bolts of Balthak for this list, but I think this is a decent shot for where Prodigy ends up. Meanwhile, Shuri Enjoyer has been crushing with a version of this with Red Guardian in the Prodigy slot, so a good stuff Season Passler style list that looks like this is one I fully expect to be competitive. From here, we have a deck that is right now competitive with Thanos. Okay into Surfer, not amazing into Surfer, and pretty bad into Bounce Move. It is the current Affliction deck. It is Cam Best popularized it, but it was created before release. Tucker was like, Surge will be amazing with the 4 drops of Affliction. And then Cougar built the list. There's a U in Cougar, I promise. 2 O's, 3 R's. He's streaming all the time. This one has a great matchup into Thanos. This is the list, I think, in Marvel Snap that feels the best into Thanos right now, and thus it makes the list because, again, 7 of the top 11. So I fully expect someone to take advantage of all the Thanos everywhere, play this list to a really great effect. Crazy Clog, again, really good against Thanos. This one actually has some play against Clog Bounce Move. If Bounce Move doesn't see its bounce cards in particular, Goblin and Hobgoblin can absolutely ruin their life. They're just those negative things, along with like debris and everything else, are very difficult. A lot of I think Crazy Clog has overtaken Devinter Clog right now, not because I think Crazy Clog is significantly better, but because Reality Stone really makes Magic a dangerous play a lot of the time right now. Given that case, I do think that this is where we want to be as far as Clog decks go in Marvel Snap. And I think Clog really has a great chance to shock people, especially in the tournament, in a tournament setting. Like when you're trapped with Clog, Clog's weakness on ladder is that you can always just retreat for 1 or 2. In a tournament, if you're retreating for 1 or 2 a bunch, you find yourself real down real fast. And at that point, the game is very often over. This deck is strong against basically everything we've looked at, except it does have weakness to Surfer because of the card Killmonger. In order to go around that, we've got Hobgoblin and Green Goblin as sort of those counters. A lot of this deck makes a lot of sense. Props to Crazy for it. And finally, we've got negative. We sort of saw negative in the Merritt section, but that was top 100, not really top 10. Again, the big climb came with Surfer. So I think negative is right there with everything else that's really good right now. I don't know about you, but I'm seeing a ton of Iron Man. I'm seeing a ton of Thanos ongoing, a ton of general stuff, a ton of Luke Cage and Affliction stuff, and Super Skrull is amazing for that. Our real danger here is Magic, but we've got some extra play because of Esme Cuckoo, who gives us an extra chance at seeing Mr. Negative, while also giving us some play when it sees like a Taskmaster or Gore, or an Iron Man, having those as 3/4, just to play on turn 6, like if we don't see Negative, right? If we get Ravonna, we can go Gore on 5, then we can go like whatever our Esme card, Iron Man, Taskmaster, whatever, with Mystique or Sage, and we have some extra play. We have some extra ways to win. I do think Negative has a real chance. Negative, when good players are really disciplined playing it, often ends up in the top of this list, and I expect that to happen during the next season. That's our video. That's our top 10 decks. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you're interested in checking out some gameplay, check out the stream team. Today is Monday, so on Monday, Gregor2424 will be streaming. Check out Gregor. And patreon.com/snapjudgments is one of the best ways to support the channel if you're so inclined. Certain tiers of support come with on-air thanks. I'm going to say thank you to a whole bunch of people. Our patron of the month is Bricks2Click. We've got Abigail Giesland, Mandatory Burnout, Irregardless, LAB, Inc., Iron Frostman, Hota Navidente, Thinking Poker, Primed Ryan, Ryan Burke, Ryan Wood, Ren Wrench, Kertixley, Koirei Kazushi, Archangel 3K, Black Dahlia, Parafrost, The Goat Seeker, Code, Hollowed, Only Fox, Synth, Fat Nick, Absolute Shannon, Nightmare, Dirty Casual, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philly, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Bizza, Black Jeebus 23. Those two are notorious, I swear. Exorphy and Skippy G, right, me friends? Miss Jessica Gamble, what's up, Jess? Mr. Slush Death, if you're nasty. The King of Bros, Bro Up the Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Sub Werewolf, Kev C. Hoda, Lunacrest, Clam, Colonel Forbin, Rob Silverman, M. Holland, David G. Wingfield, Stephen, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B. and Mr. Craig Stary, along with special guest Matt V. And now, Corey. Corwin, Junk U, and Jimmy McHugh, Cute Down, You Stout, 8th Sage, One Big Man, Milkman for Reals, Cactus Jack, Reapser, BG, Quid Pro Joe, Snap Decisions Joe, we got Joe's, D. Carlo, that's not a Joe, Models Mod Supreme, Bickety Boom Bot, Green Goblin, Unibot, Flan 56, The Fuzzy Dump, Spectrum X, Hood, Ocularis, Matt H, DJ, Mikey Ajax, Don't Frickin' Flex, Nikki, The Greeky, The Geeky, Toxic Soul King, Zodrex, The King of Canada, Demon Falcon, Fowler Newman, Jonesy, Two Ties, The Great Lauren Evs, The Pirate King Tucker, and of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for. Thanks for watching. Again, you don't get this content anywhere else. If you're here, you watched all this time, you must have enjoyed it. Please do hit that sub button. Peace.